Our first, should I say, he is the first slammer for today, but in reality, he's the second, because the second time here on stage. Of course, he was here last year, and he was that hooked that he said, I will do that again. Or like Britney Spears would say, oops, he does it again. He gives us a slam, and I can't wait for it. Yeah? Der Mann aus Wien, Benjamin.
Thank you very much. And now for something completely different. Because at first, there were the Titans. Then there came the gods. And only after the gods came heroes who were supposed to be the idols that all of us humans should aspire to be. At least that is what the ancient Greeks believed in their mythology. And even nowadays, we probably still know some of those ancient Greek heroes. We still know Hercules. We still know Achilles. But today, I want to talk about someone slightly less known. I want to talk about Theseus, Theseus in German. Theseus was the son of the king of Athens, or the son of Poseidon. It kind of depends on who you ask. It's always a little bit difficult in Greek mythology. And he grew up alone in the countryside. He always had one simple dream. Like every little boy who sees a hero, he wanted to be just like Hercules. And so, as soon as he grew up, as soon as he was old enough, he went out. He went out to travel towards Athens. On his way there, of course, he encountered some bandits. He fought them, he won, he dispensed justice. He became a hero of the people. But he was not yet quite a true Greek hero, because a true Greek hero is always acclaimed by the gods themselves. So, once he reached Athens, his father took him in. He was very glad to see him. He was very glad, even more glad, that he has proven himself as a hero of the people. But he gave him one more task, to slay the Minotaur. This monster with the body of a man and the head of a bull. This monster that had haunted Athens for a long time, that had to be caged in the labyrinths of Minos. So, Theseus took on this task, and in fact, he took on two impossible tasks at once. First, he had to slay this Minotaur, and then he had to get out of the labyrinth. Both of those things were considered to be completely impossible. But he was undeterred. He went to the island of Crete, entered the labyrinth, found the Minotaur, fought him in single combat, slew the monster, and finally returned out of the labyrinth through the use of some clever tricks. Then he went back onto his ship and sailed back home to Athens. There, of course, he got a hero's welcome. The people worshipped him. He became an idol. He became a true Greek hero worshipped by the god, who was worshipped and who was recognized by the gods themselves. But the people of Athens did not just stop at worshipping him, they also started worshipping his ship. His ship was the thing that brought him home, and the Athenians started to take care of it. Whenever there was a plank that would rot, the Athenians would replace it. Whenever the mast started to be slightly wobbly, they would put it back up. Whenever the sail was kind of patchy, they would patch it and make sure that the ship was always ready to set sail, all in reverence to their great hero, Theseus. They did this for centuries, until at one point, a philosopher came along, looked at this ship, and told them, well, this is very nice, but this is not Theseus' ship. You've replaced all of the planks, the sail is not the same, this is just something completely different. And in saying this, he opened up the paradox of Theseus' ship, which is something that has now puzzled philosophers for over 2,500 years. I'm going to give you 3 small answers to this paradox. The first one is that quite simply we say, no, this is not the same ship. We have replaced all of the parts. It cannot be the same ship. The second answer is a bit of a more functional view on this ship. It's kind of, this ship is the ship that returned Theseus, and it is also a ship that can set sail. So of course, it must still be the same ship. It has continued to fulfill its function. And the third one is slightly more complicated because here it's about relational identity. Here it's about, we look at this ship from one perspective, and from that one perspective, it is still the ship of Theseus, it is still the ship that brought him home, it is still able to set sail, but from another perspective, it has become a symbol to worship. And by now, you're probably all asking yourselves, What the Hades am I talking about? Well, I am here to give you a small talk about AI, and I want to make the point that AI is nothing but a tool, and I'm going to use the ship of Theseus to prove it to you. So, the Athenians took care of the ship of Theseus. The ship of Theseus was made of hundreds of planks, just like current AI models are made up of billions of neurons. Each of those billions of neurons is a simple mathematical function. That mathematical function performs both multiplication and addition. This is nothing different than what we do in our Excel tables. It is just a simple multiplication and an addition. But it is repeated 40 billion times, which makes it a lot more complex. So our task as AI researchers is to find ways to tweak these 40 billion parameters all at once, is to find ways to make this AI system do exactly what we want it to do and nothing else. Because like the crew of a ship, the model, all of the neurons of this AI model need to work in tandem to fulfill a specific goal, to fulfill a specific task. And here, just like every single ship that you see here has to set sail and to be able to sail across the sea, they all have their own target. They all have their own destination. In this way, every single AI system has its own goal. A chess AI plays chess. ChatGPT predicts the next word in a sentence. AlphaFold folds proteins to give us some kind of information about how we can use it to maybe create new drugs. Every single AI system just performs one single task. We've probably all encountered this if you've ever tried to use ChatGPT for anything slightly complicated or anything slightly complex. For example, let's say we want to play chess against ChatGPT. It is going to very quickly start to give you illegal moves. Why? Because ChatGPT only knows of chess as being a sequence of words or of letters that correspond to the moves in symbolic form. And so, of course, it starts to hallucinate all of the things that it could possibly do with the figures that are on the board, because it has no idea about the actual rules and what they actually mean in practice. So, and now, finally, to come a little bit back to my boats. I've been showing you a bunch of boats. I like boats. So, we can look at AI then through different lenses, right? We can look at it from the one hand. I hope I've convinced you now that it's just a whole bunch of maths. It's a whole bunch of neurons that come together to do mathematical operations. They all try to use maths in a specific way to achieve a specific task. It is just maths all the way down. And it's even worse. It's applied statistics. And now I want to make a very brief experiment to show you the example of applied statistics. So far, whenever I've talked about neural networks, about AI, about neurons, about how all of this math stuff works, I've shown you images of ships. I've shown you 6 of these images. Whenever I've gave you some information about the background, I've talked about people. I've talked about the myths, about the Greek heroes. And so given this information, I have a question. What do you think will the next slide be? I'm still talking about AI. I'm still explaining what AI is all about. Who here believes that it will be an image of a ship? Okay, I see many skeptical faces. How about a person? Okay. Who here believes that it will be something completely different? Ah, perfect. You are onto me. It is a teapot. I did this experiment with ChatGPT. I did this experiment with other large language models. They have all given me the same answer. It has to be a ship. So far, you've only ever talked about AI in the context of ships. You've given examples from ships. You're just talking about naval metaphor. It has to be a ship every single time. I've repeated this experiment multiple times. But here I'm showing you a teapot to explain to you that the AI systems are always biased. They can only make their inferences based on the knowledge that they have. If you try to go beyond that knowledge, they will start to hallucinate and you will start getting strange things, like, for example, also with the chess metaphor in ChatGPT. Okay, so now I hope I've convinced you that AI is just a simple tool that can be used and that should not be misused, because as soon as you breach the boundaries of what it is able to know and what it is able to do, you will start getting weird things. So now, to close things off, I want to give you a quick teaser on what I am doing with AI, because I am training my own artificial neural networks, my own AI systems. And for this, I'm working with the Maxima, which is one of our imaging platforms here. And you see an example of a Maxima image right here. where we see individual cells which are stained with protein, with antibody stains, where we see that each cell expresses a protein with a certain intensity. And what biologists want to do is they really want to know which cells express which proteins, especially in the context of a tumor sample, because they want to know why certain cells, why immune cells especially, do not kill the tumor as they infiltrate it. So my task as an AI person is to first allow the AI to identify where each individual cell is inside of these images, so that we can then go ahead and see, hey, it expresses this protein at this level, it expresses this protein at this level, and maybe that is why it is not able to kill the tumor. And so I have spent the last 3 years of my life circling cells, actually really manually circling in cells, creating a data set to train these models to perform what's called the segmentation of cells in Maxima images. It is still ongoing. I've tried many different AI methods, and I talked about this in my last Science Slam. If you're curious about any of those details, I can refer you back to this. Now with this, I'm at the end. I would like to say thank you very much.